Good evening, YouTubers, YouTube viewers, audience of 12 Volt Talk. What's going on? We are live here tonight on a Thursday night. Rob, what's going on with a Thursday night?
I don't know, man. You tell me. You plan all this out. I'm just here. I'm the sidekick. I don't know what the hero does.
Right. We have a special guest tonight, and Thursday nights or Tuesday nights work better for him, and Thursday nights work better for me. So we worked out Thursday, and we have Brad here, Mazda2284, and Brad, just say hello for a minute when we get everybody to make sure all our mics sound about the same.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah, your mic sounds good to me. So does Rob. So hopefully for everybody in the chat room here on youtube.com/12etalk, they hear us okay. You guys give us a visual sign by typing, because we can't see your thumbs up. We can't see your thumbs down. We can't see your other parts of your fingers that you're showing us. We don't
Are my peas popping?
Your peas are not popping.
All right.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead, and I'm so organized tonight. I'm going to pull up the intro, and we will go ahead and get this party started. And this is episode 50. Wow.
50.
We're getting close to 1 year. All right, I'm going to share it, and then I'm going to start it up, and it's my turn, I think. Rob, is that right?
Yes, sir.
All right. It's time for the final countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 12 Volt Talk, episode 50. Tonight we have Mazda2284 from YouTube. This is Derek from Williston Audio Labs here with you on a Thursday night. Not sure what's up with that, but as always, I have my good friend, co-host, basshead, has a little more hair than me, Mr. Hi-Fi Vega. What's going on, Rob?
Yo, what's going on?
What's up?
I'm ready to talk about batteries and old OG YouTube stuff, all that.
That's right. This is going to be a fun show, fun episode. Tonight with us, we have special guest Brad, a.k.a. Mazda2284 from YouTube. What's going on, Brad?
Not much. How are you doing?
Hey, good. Thanks for joining us here on this Thursday night. I've got a story to tell. And Rob, is there any introduction stuff that we need to do before I tell my little short story?
No, man. Let's get straight into it.
It's a very short story, and I don't know if T-Fade spilled the guts to Brad last night or the other night on the other show, because I didn't get to watch the Everyday Audios as I had other things going on. But I will watch it. But anyway, I wanted to let everybody know this little tidbit of a story. And thank you guys in the chat room for hitting us up with the super chats. We greatly appreciate that. And we'll get to you and give you your shout outs here in just a few minutes. But it was back around 2007, 2008. I was searching on YouTube, and I found this guy who was doing videos about car audio stuff. He had some old Rockford Fosgate. He had some old Pioneer. I think he had some old Orion stuff and Soundstream. And I'm watching these videos, and I'm like, man, that's really cool. I've got to start doing that. So the truth behind the story is Mazda2284 was the fuel that lit the fire in Williston Audio Labs. So Brad, thanks for setting the seed and creating all the energy and excitement for car audio in my head, because literally I started doing videos because I watched your videos.
Wow, that's such an honor. Thanks, man. Because I absolutely love your channel and love watching your videos.
Oh, well, thank you. But yeah, that's a true story, and that's how it really started. So I wasn't sure how many people I've actually told that. I know I've told Rob that story before, but I don't know that I've ever told you. So I thought tonight would be a good time to kind of bring that up here, in front of everybody else. Everybody else can know that you're inspiring what you do. So we appreciate that. But we're gonna back up just a little bit before we get into a lot of the YouTube stuff, and ask you, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started in car audio. You know, what started your fuel to the fire with the car audio scene?
So I've pretty much been in the car audio my whole life. When I was a kid, my cousins had systems. One of them had two Pioneer 10s, and another one had two Blaupunkt 12s. And there was a neighbor that always drove by in his bright red Camaro, and his system was just a thumping. And every time I'd run out to the road to get as close to the base as I possibly could because I just absolutely loved it. Ended up finding out later on that he had JL audio equipment. And just seeing their systems, I wanted to have a system. So I set out when I was like 10 or 11 years old and started saving all of my allowance money so I could buy my first subwoofers. Because at that time I just had a little home stereo with a couple 4-inch speakers and a couple 6-inch speakers, and I was playing around with putting them in different glass jars, different sizes, and then different boxes, and trying them free air, or taping them to the window, or just all kinds of crazy stuff. Whatever I could do to get more sound out of what I had. And it just basically evolved from there. Um,
So,
my my first subwoofers, I actually bought at a swap meet. They were JD Audio 175 watt 12s, and I put them under my bed, and I loved it.
So what was your first like real car system that you remember having?
So when I was 12, my uncle sold me his 1979 Camaro, and I saved up my allowance money and went and bought another pair of subwoofers. They were orange surround Titan PTS woofers, and I thought they were just amazing. So I threw those in my Camaro. I had I think it was a 300 watt Kenwood amp at the time, and I had just little thin wire running to the back to power my amp, and you know that that would be like my first real system. Uh, After that, I bought a 600 watt Kenwood amp and two 15-inch MTX. Um, I, I think they were Blue Thunders. They might have been an Eliminator series. They were the ones with the square magnets, if you guys remember those.
I do. I
The
think they
the
were.
RFLs, the
I think they were. I
crankers.
think the original ones were the original ones. RFLs, or were they the Eliminators? They may have been the Eliminators that were square original.
Yeah, it might have been.
Yeah, I think they were Eliminators. And then Shop had talked me into buying these Rockford Fosgate subwoofers. And he's like, they're the best thing on the market right now. So I buy these two 10-inch Rockford Fosgate subwoofers, listening to the audio expert, and they didn't sound anywhere near as good as my 215s. So at that point, I pretty much quit listening and just started doing and experimenting for myself.
That's a great tip, because you have to, and you know this, and most people who are watching or listening to this know this, but if you don't know this, realize that when you go somewhere, most of the time when you get suggestions from the internet or anything like that, people have a reason for giving you the suggestion that they do. I don't mean everybody does that, but some people, obviously, if you go to a shop, they're going to recommend stuff they sell. If you go online, a lot of times you'll see people reply, where's the best place to shop? And they'll say blah, 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 blah.com, because that's where they work, or that's where they get commission from, or whatever. So Brad has got a very good point here in saying that in some cases, you have to trust yourself. Unfortunately, it's very expensive to do it that way, or you have to be very patient, and try lots of stuff over time. But I mean, the cool thing about it is you learn a lot that way. But things like what Rob and I try to do, you know, we don't really do sponsored stuff. So we buy the stuff that we test. There are occasions where we're sent things, but it's always the expectation that you're not getting special treatment just because you sent it. You know, we won't still give our honest opinion. So that's
Yep.
kind of our mojo, and I appreciate you doing the same thing as well. I think it's a great way for people to learn. But jumped ahead a little bit, so I'm backtrack. So talking about the equipment, talking about, you know, the stuff that got you into car audio. Do you have any like favorite piece of equipment, whether it be an amp, a head unit, a sub? Is there anything that you just say, I'm never going to let go of this?
Yeah, actually, I have a few things that I would never let go of. My Pioneer Premier 15 for sure. The first one I originally bought, I I want to take that to my grave. I don't even want anybody to have it afterwards. They can have my other ones, but I want that one. Um, let's see here. My Pioneer X series amplifiers, I absolutely love those. I have a Sony ES amplifier, 4 channel, that I'll keep that probably forever. Um, yeah, I think that's probably my top 3 right there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a pretty good top three. I don't know that there's anything I'd hold on to anymore. After I kind of got out of collecting a little bit, so you know, I'm not as sentimental as I used to be, I guess. What about you, D? I know you got some.
Yeah, yeah. Power 1000 MOSFET for me would be one I wouldn't want to get rid of. But I like the idea. Maybe by the time we do, you know, kick the can and pass away, that the lithium or whatever technology will be so advanced that we can just throw a few cells in there and put our amp with us and rock on for years
Yeah,
to come.
it could bring us back. So you know, we kind of already know the answer to this. I'm sure a lot of people that seen your videos do too. Do you collect old school vintage gear?
Oh yeah, I collect. I've thinned out some of my collection. Actually, I think Big D bought a couple of my Soundstream amps. Um, there's been a few things like I just had so much. I had to start clearing it out, or I needed to build another building to keep it all. It because it was just getting out of hand. But yeah, I still do have a pretty decent old school collection, and I'm always testing new products, and like I shuffle through equipment all the time. If I sell a sub, I buy a sub. If I sell an amp, I buy an amp, and it just sometimes I buy 2 amps. So
We know how that works. It's okay. There's worse things that you could spend your money on or blow your
oh
money
yeah,
on, right? So it's all good.
yep.
Well, that's cool. We'll switch the gears a little bit and go over to YouTube, since I've already told the little story at the beginning about, you know, how you are the one that kind of got me into doing YouTube videos, because car audio was an interest at the time. And then I saw what you had going up. I'm like, man, I've got some stuff I want to show too. But tell us a little bit about your YouTube channel, the name Mazda2284, how you came up with that name, and maybe why you started doing YouTube videos in the beginning.
So I started my YouTube, I think, in 2008. Uh, there wasn't very many car audio videos, and I just wanted to share my little system that I had at the time, and I actually thought it was pretty good, so I wanted to share with everybody out there what I had. And my camera was so horrible, it just it's all you could hear was chopping. It didn't even, like, you couldn't hear my voice or anything. So my videos weren't great, but for some reason they got a lot of views, so I just kept doing it. And my channel name, I don't know if you remember or not, but I had a Mazda 323 since I was 18. I still have it actually. Uh, So I started with my Mazda, and then the 2284 is my birthday. It's the 22nd day of October in 84. So I did Mazda2284 for my channel name. And as uh, my videos got better, I bought a better camera, and then I just kept going with it because it seemed like people are really interested in what I was doing. And I absolutely love car audio, so it was awesome to be able to share what I was doing with everyone else.
So, did you have any goals with the channel when you started versus do you have any goals now? Like, what are you trying to do? What do you want to accomplish with your channel?
So I started with just wanting to share what I had, and then as I progressed into it, I kind of wanted to start teaching people stuff and um, showing different. Like I test a lot of things, so I wanted to show some of that testing, and it seemed like the test videos didn't quite do so well, but people absolutely loved the demo videos, so I just kept going with that. And now I'm I'm going back more to teaching because there's just so much misinformation out there, and um, there's good videos from other people, but I want to be able to show my viewers too, and some of those people might not be able to find other channels or things like that. And I do some different testing, so uh, I'm probably going to go more towards the teaching, and I've been working on doing better editing with my videos for like my demo videos, trying to make them more engaging or easier to watch.
Yeah, it's real easy for people who don't make videos, who just watch them, to make assumptions about how it is to create the videos. But we Rob and I talk about it all the time about the time and effort and expense you put into creating videos for YouTube, and not only deciding what you're going to do for the video, but then the shooting the video, the editing, voiceover if you do that, all the stuff that it takes. Um, it's a lot more than the end result that people see, and a lot of people don't understand that part of it. So the other thing I wanted to let people know though is Brad got into the YouTube partner program way back in the day, back when it was a big deal for people to get. And if you don't know what the partner program is, that's the thing that Google does the ad revenue sharing with you, so that you get a portion of the ads that should pop up on the videos before or after or whatever. You get a portion, YouTube gets the bigger portion, but of course they allow you to store your videos for free and they give you the platform. But back in the day, and Brad and I were talking about it before we went live, we couldn't remember the exact year um, that he got his partner, but anyway, it was difficult back then because you had to have like a minimum of 5,000 subscribers. There was also a view count that we couldn't remember exactly, but I remember trying to apply for it a couple times and getting declined. Sorry, you don't have enough views, you don't have enough subscribers. So you got that back in the day, and that's pretty awesome because not many people were partners back then, right?
Right. Not many people were partners, especially basehead channels. There was just a couple. Steve Mead was one of the early ones. And I always watched his videos back in the day. I don't keep up with them as good now, but I still try to watch his videos. I watch tons of channels. Like when I come home, instead of sitting down and watching TV, I go watch people's YouTubes and EXO and Showtime SPL and Old Base, just your videos, tons, pretty much everybody's videos. I see some of them.
Yeah, that's pretty much how me and Dee do as well. My wife, she'll watch, when we lay down, she'll watch her shows, and I'll just get on YouTube and catch up on every new video that came out since I last seen it.
Yep, that is 100% true. That's how we roll. I don't really. We have YouTube TV, which is kind of the cable version of YouTube that my wife uses for watching some of her stuff, but I could go without it. I could just watch YouTube and I'd be fine. There's so many different areas and so many different good videos out there. It seems like every other week I find through the suggested videos, I'll find a channel that I'm like, wow, I can't believe I haven't found this. And I start going back and watching their old content. And it's amazing. There's so much. I think one of the last statistics I saw, and I hate to even butcher it right now by saying what it is, but it's like 1,000 hours of video uploaded every 10 seconds or something. I mean, it's unbelievable the amount of content that goes up. So
even doing YouTube since 2008, I still get nervous in front of the camera. Like, it's so much different trying to explain something in person. Like, I feel like being on camera is so much harder to sit down and explain to everybody. Because, like, when I'm doing it in person, it just flows out so smooth and simple, and I can show them pieces in my hands. And doing that on camera it's hard to do.
It is hard. It is hard. I think the best way to explain how to talk to an audience or to the camera is to pretend it is another person. The only problem is you're not getting the reaction because you don't get anything back, but you just have to pretend, hey, I'm talking to Rob. Hey, I'm talking to Brad. This is what's going on. And I don't know. It seems to work okay. The funny thing for me is when I was in middle school and high school, I was freaking petrified of getting in front of the class to talk, to do a report, to do an oral thing. My hands would be so sweaty. I would get up there and couldn't even hardly talk. I would stutter trying to get out my words. I hated it with a passion. And I told myself, this is something I want to do better with, one day I want to get better in it. But anyway, I feel much more comfortable doing it now, but it's not easy. It's definitely not. And learning how to talk to the camera like it's another person, I think is a good way to put it and how it works good.
Yeah. And never solder on camera for a video, because I don't know if you guys know this, but every NASA solder expert is on YouTube, and they let you know in the comments everything you messed up.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yes, they surely let you know. I didn't know so many people from NASA were on YouTube watching car audio videos, but they are there.
Oh, if you want to get a ton of comments, though, all you have to do is solder something.
Yeah, I'm the world's worst at that. So, yeah, I don't even really care, but I'd love to learn how to do it better. But I don't know if it's just soldering. I think it's pretty much anything you do and put out there. There's always, super smart expert that has to put you in your place. I get it every week I release a video. I always say something wrong. It's like Brad and I talked about, we're talking about the bolt size for the yin longs. Brad did a video and I'm like, Brad, I think you said the size the wrong. He's like, well, I can't edit the video because you can't. So you just have to put it in the video description. But I wish YouTube had a way that you could kind of go in. You used to be able to put up what they call the annotations or whatever.
Yep.
But
I tried. I couldn't find any annotations or anything.
They took it away. They took it away a couple months ago, so you can't even do it. So it'd be nice if they let you edit.
Yeah. You know what? I'd want to edit it and be like, I made you buy the wrong bolts. And that's what I'll put in there. Got him.
Yeah. So I no longer say this is a $20 sub. It's a $25 sub. I'm sorry. It went up $5. What can you do?
Yeah. Just to clarify, they are not M6. They're M12.
Yes. I created some links in the video description to take you to some of the places. I don't think I put the bolts in there, but I'll add that in because I found a place online that sells them for the boltdepot.com or something like that. And they were like 15 cents a piece, and they're the serrated ones. They're super, super nice bolts, but we'll get to that in just a minute. But I wanted to switch gears a little bit and talk about the lithium. And again, Brad, I apologize if you've already covered some of this when you had your show with T-Fade and Skip with the Everyday Audios, because like I said, I didn't get a chance to see it all. But I know you probably didn't. You were one of 4 guests on there, so you might not have had the chance or opportunity to go through a lot of the stuff that we're going to try to cover tonight. But
Yeah,
man,
I didn't even have to say much. All I did is sit back and watch it.
yeah, watch the show.
Yeah.
So lithium now is getting a lot of interest in car audio, and the first thing I can say to you is, I've noticed you've been doing a lot of research with this over the past year or 2 years, however long you've been doing it, and so I feel that you've got a lot of information to back up maybe what we're going to talk about. So the question I have for you is, people who don't know about lithium, why who would need to go a lithium route no matter what the technology versus just a standard AGM for car audio?
Pretty much anyone now can do lithium, and if you want to do DIY, you can actually do lithium and save money compared to AGM. You can get more output per dollar out of the lithium cells that are out there than you can with an AGM battery.
That's a good point. And I've noticed that too in the limited research I've done over the past month or two. And so with that said, and that statement that you made, I think it can be overwhelming for people if they just do a search like lithium for car audio, or lithium DIY for car audio. So
Yep.
if you do that, you'll find, the LiFePO4, that's lithium iron phosphate, which is like the headway cells, which are these. And
Yep.
I'll show a picture here in a minute of Brad that's got them set up in the proper 4S, which these are, what is the voltage on these? These are 3.3 volts. Is that right?
I
Each?
think 3.2 is what they're rated at. They're an 8 amp hour cell. And Headway does make other cells that look like that. And you had sent me a link. And the funny thing is the link had the name of the other cells, the blue ones, in it. So I was like, oh no, those aren't the cells that he wants. But then when I clicked it, it actually took you to the red 38120 HP cells.
Right. And so we'll talk a little bit about the difference about the red and the blue and why you want one versus for car audio versus not. But here in the picture, those who are watching on YouTube, if you're listening to this on the podcast, unfortunately, you can't see what we're talking about. We'll try to describe it, but basically the cells are hooked up in a series format. So you have positive, negative, and then you have the positive and negative of two batteries joined together, and so along. So you have them set in a method so that you're pretty much creating a series connection for all four of the batteries, which gives you the 13.8 that they rest at, Brad, for the headways?
So 3.2, 6.4, 6.4 times 2 is 12.8 is
12.8.
the nominal voltage. Mine that are in right now are actually resting at 13.8 volts.
Okay. And I didn't mean to jump around a little bit too much here in the beginning, because what I intended to do was get you to maybe give a high level overview of the different types of lithium technologies, because we have what I just mentioned, the lithium iron phosphate, and this is a bad cell, by the way. It's only 1.6 volts. LTO, which is lithium titanate. And then there's the other ones, the protos and the CMAXs, and you'll have to explain what lithium technology they use, because I haven't really looked into those that much. So tell us a little bit about maybe the different types and the charge voltage and the configurations, like 4 versus 6, and how all that stuff works.
Okay, so I actually sent you a link to include with this to Battery University. They have a page that explains all the different cell types and what they're good at. They have like a kind of like a star graph that shows you the specific energy, the cost, the specific power, lifespan, safety, and performance. And all of these cells have a different shape as to how they fit on that star. So LiFePO4 is considered one of the safer cells. It's typically in like 3.2 volt. lithium titanate, they're 2.3 volt typically, and they are considered the safest of the cells out there. Now, the other types of lithium, they're not as safe, but they have higher specific power or higher performance in certain conditions. The other cells are typically in the 3 to 4 volt range for nominal voltage. So most cells that you'd see out there would be a 4S configuration. The one that isn't is lithium titanate. That's the cell that it's lower voltage, so you end up doing 6S to get the type of voltage we need, which ends up being a 13.8 volt battery. And the benefit with that is a lot of us typically want our amplifiers in the 14 volt range, so they work great for that. So the lithium titanate has the performance and safety and the ability to get the voltage that we need, and is one of the reasons why I really like lithium titanate.
Yeah, and I think something to explain to people that don't realize about these batteries, it's an 8 amp hour cell for the headway, say. When you series those, you don't get 32 amp hours. You're just getting your voltage. You only
Right.
add your amp hours as you parallel them
Yes.
in banks.
So say you have 4 cells in series, then you need another 4 cells to parallel with those to get increased capacity.
Yep. And I think, people that aren't used to messing with batteries much kind of might not get that. So I figured I'd point it out at least.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think what a lot of people probably watching this would be curious to know is, when would I use this, the headway, in a 4S configuration versus using the LTO, the lithium titanates, or the Yinlongs and the 6S? Because there is some advantage to using these if you want to keep your AGM, right? And
Yes.
there's an advantage to using these if you want a higher charge voltage and you can delete your AGM, things like that, right?
So the lithium titanate or the NMC cells like CMAX and the other NMC type cells, there's also the cobalt and nickel, magnesium, cobalt cells. Those are NMC, and then there's manganese oxide, which is LMO, and all these different types. Well, some of them are higher voltage and they need to be charged at a higher voltage, and they do not perform well in a low voltage application. So then if you can't charge them, you get no capacity out of the cells. It's very little. And a cell like the 3.2 volt headway, it will get full capacity or near full capacity at a lower charge state. They can be mixed with AGMs. However, if you had enough, like you see in the picture here, this is 48 amp hours of headway, you'd be far better off running just the headway because you wouldn't have the AGM dragging the headways down. Another big thing with the different chemistries is they have different charge rates. So some cells will take a lot more charge amperage in than others, and the charge speed is also a big factor. So like LTO is like the Yinlongs, they're 10 C rate charge and 10 C rate discharge. So they can discharge 400 amps and charge 400 amps.
Wow.
So if go ahead, Derek, do you have something you want to add into that?
I just said, Wow, 400 amps.
Yep, that's just one bank. So if you have two banks, that's 800 amps, and three banks, 1200 amps. So guys running a big, 6 alternator setup, they throw, 6, 7, 8 banks LTO in. They have just astounding voltage.
So say a guy comes in and says, Brad, I want to do a system. I need some battery upgrades, but I'm only going to be running around 1500 watts total power, and I want to do it as cheaply as possible, as efficiently as possible. What do you suggest?
16 amp hours of headway. It'll take 160 amps peak charge, so it will deal with your alternator in the case that your other battery is unhooked or anything like that. That's why I do not recommend 8 amp hour alone, because it can only handle 80 amps of charge current. So if that was your primary battery, it would be getting damaged due to the overcharge that can happen. So that's why I recommend 16 amp hours. And that, if you build the bars yourself, you're looking at $115. And that'll keep your lights from dimming, and it'll support 1600 watts on its own, plus your battery. So you have enough room to do like a 2000 watt amp there. And it'll hold voltage just fine.
So if you want to do a battery delete with the headways, what would be the minimum amp hours you'd go with in that case?
You could get away with 16, no problem. Just one bank will start a car and run a car, but like I said, it's too much charge amperage for one bank. So 2 banks you could do and be just fine. I would suggest doing a minimum of 3 though in that case, so you do have some reserve there still for like if you have your car off and you have your lights on, or your radio on for a little while, you have enough reserve that you won't draw down.
And then say we wanted to go to the LTO option, what would you say then? 1 or 2 banks of those?
One bank of 40 amp hour. So I actually have a customer that was here today. He has a Singer 250 amp alternator on his car. He has one bank of 40 amp hour yin long. He has 2 Wolfram W3000.1s wired at 1 ohm apiece, and an NVX JAD 800.4. His car has full electronic everything. It has electronic airbag suspension. So it has a ton of electronics to run, and he drops 0.1 to 0.2 volts.
That's
And
impressive.
With how many did you say? How many, one bank or 2 banks? I missed that.
One bank.
Wow.
He charges right around 14.6 volts warm, and he drops 1.1 to 0.2 volts. And that's clean on his system. If he goes up in the clipping, he can drop it down about 0.4, 0.5 volts. And that's in the full clip.
Wow. Yeah, I see people asking, what about like a 4,500 watt setup? So based on what you're saying, this guy's got 6,000 watts and he's using one bank of LTOs with a battery delete.
Yep, 6,000 watts worth of amps plus the 800.4.
Wow.
And that's just that one battery.
That is crazy. So when we talked with Scotty Johnson from Excess Power a few weeks ago, we showed off Jonathan Price's truck, the Neo Ho. I don't know what version it is now, and I'm gonna probably botch it by forgetting how many banks. I think was it 13 or 14 total banks of Success LTOs.
All of them.
It's all of them. Yeah,
all of them.
It was all the ones that came off their production line that day. But he said they've been performing well. Well, of course, that was Scotty's. We haven't asked Jonathan how they've been doing, but sounds like they're working well in that case. And I don't know how many watts he has total. Does anybody remember? Several, like 40 or 50,000 watts, I think, in his setup.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. So
all of them again.
He's got all the watts. He's got
all
the LTOs. Just go home. Is that what you're saying, Rob?
Yeah.
And the LTOs deal really well with like demo type setups like his. If you want to be the guy who's just pounding all day, don't want to have to worry about your batteries, you're going to be, abusing, stressing them out. LTO is what you want 100%. A lot of people use the C-Max cells out of Fords, and they're very finicky. They need to be done absolutely properly, or you will have problems with them. They'll puff out and expand, and then you have risk of shorting out your bars, shorting out your wires. They can be very dangerous. Nobody has had a fire that I know of yet with them, but I feel it's only a matter of time before it happens because people just aren't doing the cells properly. The LTO, like Yinlong, the cylinder type cells, they're built to withstand just a ton of abuse. They won't puff out due to their cylinder design, and they have a honeycomb uh, type wrap inside these cells, and they deal with heat and expansion all inside the cell. It's all contained. And if you overcharge them, they'll actually soak quite a bit. Like if your alternator regulator dies for some reason, which has happened with some of the guys running C-Max, these cells will just soak it up and try and deal with it. They can vent, but the venting on them, we haven't been able to get the gas to light on fire. Venting with the C-Max, we've been able to get fire out of them.
Yeah, I think that's an important point to talk about. People who want to DIY, because there's different levels of DIY, right? Some people just want to save money, but they don't want to invest the time or energy into educating themselves before they do this. I think that was apparent in a little bit of the discussion from Everyday Audios and the way that, people understand, hey, I just want to buy this. It's DIY, but I want you to set it up for me, and I'm not going to take the time to understand what I have here. So with that said, that's why it makes sense that Excess Power decided to go the route of the LTOs, because like
I just got my Excess Power cells today.
Nice.
I think I was one of the first people to order these cells, so I'm really happy that I got them. They're brand new cells, so we've been buying these from China in group buys, which you see with the normal wrapper like you had in your hand. And with these, we've run a lot of risk buying them. We've done a lot of time sampling before we buy to make sure that we've been getting good cells, because there's a lot of sellers over there that are either rewrapping cells or just selling low grade cells, damaged cells, things like this, used cells. So we spent a lot of time doing our group buys to make sure that we're getting people the best product we possibly could. In my group, we started doing group buys, I believe, last October. So, and the thing with C-Max is that it's everywhere. It's Ford hybrid car batteries. The cells are made by Panasonic, and they're sold in cars over in China and Japan also. But they have a clear wrapper over there instead of the green wrapper that Ford has. But the Ford cells are everywhere. You can go to a junkyard and find these packs and reconfigure them. So a lot of people have been doing that just because of the availability of the cells. So that makes me really happy that Excess Power brought these cells here, because safety is, to me, the number one thing that we have to worry about. Like, if we have a bunch of banks failing, I fear that like they might end up banning DIY in the organizations for SPL. And there's talks of it at the beginning of this year. And there's a lot of people like me that were like on the other side of the fence trying to work with these guys to explain to them, hey, we can build safe batteries. We don't need a company to build us batteries to have safety. But It's starting to be brought back up again in those channels because of the amount of failures.
Yeah, makes sense. Definitely want safety first. Quick correction: Jonathan Price, 100,000 watts. So sorry for saying 40 or 50,000 when I was grossly underestimating the number of watts. As Rob says, he has them all. He has them all. There's a good question that popped up in the chat room about, hey, I want to use AGM up front, but I'm going to have an isolator to isolate the lithiums. What about going that route? I haven't heard a lot of people talk about that.
So it's that's kind of a rough subject. Like, some people disagree, but isolators are typically meant for two of the same type of batteries to be isolated from each other. They're not necessarily meant for two totally different chemistries, two totally different voltages to be isolated from each other. And if the isolator were to go out, you could have a lot of problems because of this. So I would say just straight drop whatever other battery it is that you have and run one chemistry and just stick with that chemistry. If you're really concerned about having an extra battery, do a battery delete where you just remove a post. Remove your negative post, or remove your positive post, whatever you want to do, and have your extra battery sitting there in case you need it. Batteries will hold a charge for a long time before needing a recharge, especially if you have a good battery. I mean, they sit on the shelves in stores for years without ever getting a lick of charge. So that would be the route I would suggest to go. I don't recommend doing an isolated system.
So there's kind of one area that we haven't covered yet. Balancers. What's up with them? Should we use them? Self-balancing. Kind of walk us through that if you can.
Okay, so cell balancing is it. The balancer basically just bleeds off excess voltage to keep the cells all in a maintained balance. Typically, yes, you'd want a balancer with lithium because you have different cells in different banks. Some cells go out of balance easier than others. I've heard guys say that they run CMAX out of balance or with no balancer, and I think that's absolutely horrible. Them cells do not stay balanced. They really, really need a balancer. If you're not running a balancer, I believe that's a safety hazard. Headways, they should be balanced. I ran them for a little while without a balancer, and they stayed in balance doing the passive balance for a few months, and then I had to take the packs apart, rebalance them, put the packs back together. The LTOs, on the other hand, I've been running my bank for over a year without any balancing whatsoever. And I just checked today, and the cells are within 0.03 volts without ever taking them apart and repassive balancing them. And I check them like every day or every other day. Like that's like one of my daily routines is I go out to the truck and I check my packs to make sure that my cells are all still in balance. This is something that I've been personally testing because I want that type of data. I still wouldn't suggest to anyone else to do it that way because people aren't going to be me where they're going out to their vehicle every day and checking their banks to make sure that they're still in balance. That's not going to be the typical person.
Yeah, and just so people understand, the headway balancers, like I got one, what is it, the HA04, HA02?
Probably an O2.
Yeah, I'll find it and put a link in the description. But I think it was $60, something like that for that one. You may can get cheaper off of eBay. I got it from Amazon. But I bought used headway cells because the alarm hookup guy on eBay was selling them pretty cheap. And what I found pretty quickly is that it was getting really difficult for me to try, even after parallel balancing in them and then trying to charge them, one of them would shoot way up and the other one. So you got some differences in, the age and all the stuff with the battery. So in order to keep them in line, the balancer for $60 is pretty small price to pay, and it's very easy to hook up. Anybody who all you do is go to one negative and then each of the first positives in line, and then you just need one balancer, and you can still parallel your cells together, right? So you can still have multiple banks. And what happens is when you parallel the cells, they keep each other in balance because they're paralleled. I say in balance. Yeah, keeps them in balance. But then the balancer takes all of the separate series cells and makes sure that, like Brad said, that your voltage is, if it's high over here, then the low over here, then we just kind of do this. That's why they say balance, because it equalizes, I guess is another word you could say. But with the LTOs, we asked Scotty Johnson the same thing, Excess Power. So what do you think about the balancers? And I'm not going to say he said this, but it was kind of mentioned that if you're careful and, like you said, you check it, he said their test and everything on the LTOs has been the same, Brad, as yours, is that, pre-balance them, like when you first get them, hook all the cells up and put all the positives together, all the negatives together. That will balance all the cells to the same voltage, let it sit for 24 hours or whatever. And then after that, you can put them in their series parallel configuration and charge them up and you'll be good. But I did put a link to, is it Jonathan Patrick at CES?
Yeah, he sells a balancer. I think it's $105, and I think he said it'll support up to like 1,200 amp hour or something.
Yeah, 1,000. So you can put many Yinglongs and many banks that will support. So I'll purchase one of those from him too. And again, for me, it's the peace of mind. But on top of that, I would also say those little Brad, and I didn't put the model number because I can't remember it. The little battery cell monitors that we have, they were like $30. Remember those?
Yeah, the Battery
Go. So you get these, and you get these little hobby plugs that go in that have all the different wires that go to your cells. And what this allows you to do at any time, you just hit the little thing and it pops up and it shows you the voltage of each separate cell. And that's really cool because say your balancer goes bad. I mean, how would you know that, right? Without checking them, just like you do. So I think it's important that if you have these little $30 displays, that they're pretty much voltage displays. I know they do other stuff too. They'll do balancing and some other things as well, but just to be able to see all your different voltages is cool. Somebody who's smart out there needs to create a Bluetooth device that you can Bluetooth to your phone or something and then show all those different voltages. You would get my app money.
I would buy one.
Yeah. So you guys out there, somebody smart, figure it out.
I have Bluetooth. the Bluetooth. What is that thing called?
You have this one?
Yes, that one.
Yeah. The Tonwan. It's like you can get soup or you can get a Bluetooth charger. There you go.
Yeah, I think mine's a different brand, but it's basically the same thing. And it gives you little graphs of your voltage. This is a handy thing to have too. I'd recommend having one of these too. I mean, it's $25. It's totally worth it.
Yeah, we'll need to link that. Rob, did you ever get one of these? I showed it before. You should always buy stuff that I show off on this channel.
Did you send it using an affiliate link?
I'm sure that I did because you may not know it, but everything I ever send you is deep in affiliate linking. So much so that for the rest of your life, whatever you buy, the profits come to me.
Oh, the Battery Go thing is definitely one of those things that if you're into doing DIY, you should have one because they're absolutely great.
Yeah, I meant to grab that too. That's my bad for not showing people, but we'll put the link in the video description so you can see what we're talking about. Sorry, go ahead, Rob. Let me interrupt
No,
you.
I was just gonna say I'm not even in the lithium game yet, so I haven't got anything because I've got some other plans. But then I'm gonna go big with the lithium. Hopefully on the test bench, we'll see.
Whoop. Well, just remember, this is not lithium specific. The one here, this battery monitor. I think Brad and EXO both did a video showing this off, and yeah, he said like they're $25, but you can use it with your regular battery in your car too, and just check all the different everything that it does. It's kind of like when you get those things the parents plug into the OBD2 port where it sees how fast the kid's going, you know, how quickly they corner and all that stuff.
It's a handy tool to have for any base head, really, for any charge system. If you have a stereo system in your vehicle, it's nice to have.
Yeah, for $25, why not, right?
Yeah, I saw somebody in the comments was asking about under the hood starting batteries, and I wanted to actually touch on that. Having a battery under the hood, whether it be lead acid, AGM, lithium, any type of battery, the under hood conditions are bad for a battery. You will reduce the life of the battery. So like the in-lungs, you could put them under the hood, but you're going to reduce your cycle life drastically. I suggest that anybody who's going to do a battery relocate to another place in the vehicle. Unless you have a battery that can vent like a lead acid. If you have sealed AGM, you should also not use those under the hood. Excess Power, I believe it's their XP series, they actually say that you should not use those under the hood. They're not made for that type of environment. A lot of AGM batteries that people use are not made for that environment. And either way, heat is bad for batteries. If you look at any car manufacturers or ambulances or trucks, anything that uses or that's industrial, they don't have the batteries under the hood. They have them under the steps or somewhere in the back of the vehicle where the battery isn't getting hot.
Yeah, and I think some people had a little confusion about when he's talking about battery delete. Basically, your batteries are in the back, and you're running one up to the front into a distribution where your battery would normally go into your alternator and your ground and such.
Yep. So what I typically do for guys who want a battery delete or relocation, I take a block of wood and put it in their battery tray. And I'll take two pieces of 2x4 and like 6-spot bolt down terminals from like Ill Customs or Toolmaker or any of them guys. They're not that expensive, like $30 for a pair of bolt down terminals, and they have 6 spots for wires. You just take the ends of your wires, cut them off, strip them, clean them, stick them in the bolt downs, run your one out to the back, and that works great. It's a cheap, couple dollars in scrap wood and a pair of terminals, and that's all you need.
Cool. Sorry, it took me a minute there. I was writing down some of our super chats. Thanks the chat room here at youtube.com/12etalk for hitting us up with the super chats. We will get to you shortly and call you guys out and thank you one at a time for your super chats. And those who don't know what the super chats are, it's just a way through these live streams that you can help support our channel. Send us a couple bucks, whatever, buy us a drink, buy us some extra headway lithium cells, however you want to do that. It's greatly appreciated. Speaking of that, Brad sent me a price sheet that I'm going to share real quick for the headway cells. And Brad, I don't think it has, we talked about who this was, but can you remind me who people can contact if they want to buy? These are brand new headway cells. Remember, you need these in 4s, so we call it 4S. You have to buy them in groups of 4, so you probably want at least 8 to do a bank of these. And who is this, Brad, that's selling these on Facebook, you said?
Adam D Batteries, and I believe his website is 18650.com.
Oh, okay. 18650.com. That's easy enough.
LG 18650.com. That's what it is.
Okay, so I think that was the one. Isn't that the one that I had up before?
Yeah, that's the link that you sent before. Yep.
Oh, okay. Okay. So he must offer them a little bit cheaper when you do it through Facebook, because I think on the website it's $19.99 if you do 1 through 8. But anyway, yeah, we'll just hit him up, and if you want to try the headway cells, like Brad has already been doing, I'm planning on doing some testing because I have bought several banks of the headways and also several banks, well, 2 so far of the yin longs. And I'm actually gonna. I've talked with Scotty from Excess Power, and also Brad about using these on my test bench, and that's kind of my plan going forward. And Scotty agreed that, hey, you can replace your 14-volt batteries with these. So that's kind of my plan. I'm gonna work them in right now to use them as additional power or additional amperage, so I can do bigger amp tests, because I do have a Taramps MD8000 that sucked the life out of the 8 Excess Power D1400. So I want to add a little bit of extra juice to the setup. But yeah, so sounds like, I know Brad's done a few videos already talking about the headways and showing how to build the straps, because that's one thing we didn't mention, which is very important. The headway cells come with the screws.
Yep.
And these are threaded screws. The Yinlongs and also the Excess Power ones that Brad showed, these have bolts, but they do not come with them. They do not come with the bolt. And also, Brad, tell them about torquing the threads here.
Okay, so that is actually a good point. If you look on the end of the Excess Power cells or the old Yinlongs, I see the Excess Power actually have the writing in red. That's 7 Nm, which equals out to about, I think it was roughly 5 inch-pounds of torque. I mean, it's basically finger tight and just a hair more. That's it. So you don't want to over torque these studs. They are aluminum and will snap. That is one of the biggest concerns with these cells. I haven't done it, but
that seems like a crazy torque spec to me, because working in a battery factory, I'll tell you right now, a loose bolt running that much power, I mean, this thing gets red as this Rockville cable here.
Yep.
When you got loose bolt and you're running power through it. So that's kind of crazy to me.
I haven't had any issues, basically hand tight with mine. You cannot use nylon locking nuts on them either. The amount of force it takes to put on a nylon locking nut is over the torque spec for the stud, and you will snap them off.
Wow.
So the link that I have that I found these, or I didn't find them, somebody else did put the link. These are serrated. Is that the right way to say it? Not serrated. It's serrated. Again, they're like 15 cents a piece if you buy them in 100, or maybe 16 cents a piece. But that way, it gives you a little bit of serration there when you go to clamp it down. But yes, these are in 6. So when you buy these, they're about $60 a piece, right, Brad? Brand new.
Yep.
So $360 for a bank of these. These are about $20 a piece. So $80 for one bank, but you want to do a minimum of 2 banks of the headways, so $160, which that's still cheaper than a AGM, most AGMs.
Yeah. And if you get those headways used from battery hookup online, it's $105 shipped for 2 banks. So, but they're used cells, so you have to take a little bit more time working with them. Whereas they come all balanced out already and everything. The ones from battery hookup, you might have to do some pre-balancing yourself. I've seen a question in the comments when I thought AGM would be superior to lithium, and at the point with lithium right now, with the prices, basically there's no time where AGM is going to be superior. Doesn't matter how much space you have, unless you got like a super great hookup on AGM, the price per output per dollar that you get out of lithium is far better than AGM.
Yeah, there's another guy that I watch on YouTube. His name is DIY Solar with Will Prowse, I think is his name. Have you watched his stuff, Brad?
Yeah, I actually got kind of heated about his LTO video because he didn't have any of the right specs at all. He didn't charge them to get the actual capacity, and he just didn't seem to understand what I was saying.
Yeah, the LTO one was not as good. It was not a good one, but a lot of the other
But
ones,
his other ones are great. Yeah.
there's really good information in them. But of course, his method of using them is different than the car audio side, right? Because they want the ones that have a lot of capacity. The C rates are not that important, right? Because you can have a lower C rate on those, which is the charge and discharge rate. If people don't understand what the C rate is, you can look that up on the Battery University link that we'll leave below. But
he would like the 55 amp hour version of the Yinlong cells, actually, because excess power that they offer a 30 amp hour, a 35, a 40, and a 55. And right away, the car audio guys go, ooh, 55 amp hours, I want those. And that's actually wrong. They're more of a capacity cell. They're not made for as much discharge or recharge. So the discharge and recharge rates on them are much lower. And the 40 amp hours actually, with a good alternator like most of us have, do far better because they're able to recharge so much faster and they're able to discharge so much more. The capacity isn't the issue, it's the C rate.
Right. And also the thing that we didn't really discuss earlier, which I know, again, there's so much information about lithium, but there's one other thing that I think is supremely important to mention is the cycle rate or the cycle time, cycle capacity of these. In other words, how many times you can recharge them. And the LTOs are 20,000 or something. It's a huge number.
I think if you run them at 1C, I believe they rate them for 30,000 cycles. And I think 5C is 20,000 cycles. So it depends on how hard you're cycling your batteries too. If you want these to last a long time, you get more of them. It drops the C rate of your discharge and recharge, and you'll get a lot more life out of them. C-Max is only, I believe, like 7,000 cycles or something like that, which I feel in the next 3 to 5 years in car audio, we're going to see a lot of cells dying with C-Max, whereas I feel these will still be around and still kicking. And the recharge rate on these is absolutely insane. The 10C recharge rate, you can recharge these cells from basically flat dead to full in 6 minutes. Whereas an AGM, you'd be pounding on it for a day. The AGMs are actually rated at 0.05C, which that's a 20-hour rate. So that's a 20-hour charge and a 20-hour discharge. At 10C, I believe it's 6 minutes per charge and discharge. So they swing way faster than an AGM is meant to.
And I think that may be another confusing point for people to try to compare. A 40 amp hour lithium LTO cell is not equivalent to a 40 amp hour AGM.
Not at all. 16 amp hour headway is basically equivalent to a 55 amp hour AGM, or maybe like an 80 amp hour AGM, and a 24 amp hour headway bank is equivalent to about 110 amp hour AGM battery. So the Yinlongs, I would say they're probably close to like 4 110 amp hour batteries in 6 of these cells. So you're talking a lot more weight, a lot more space, and like my guy I was talking about with the Wolframs earlier, he was absolutely blown away going from 3 AGM batteries, same alternator, same wiring, same everything. Went from 3 110 amp hour batteries to one bank of these, which was smaller than one of his AGM batteries and less than half the weight. And he was dropping down into the low 13s before, and now he can't even get below 14 volts. He just can't believe how such a small battery does so much.
Oh man, I'm so ready to try these on the test bench. Rob, you gotta get some too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you haven't tried, get some headways and try them. You will be just absolutely amazed, and then you'll want to switch everything over to lithium like I did. I even bought a lithium lawnmower.
That's cool. Well, man, we've gone a little bit over in our time here, but I kept thinking of extra things that we need to make sure we have clarified. And like I said, Brad told us before we even started, he's been doing these, this lithium research and everything for over a year and got tons of data. So there's so much stuff out there. I think it's important. If you're on Facebook, join the DIY Lithium Car Audio. What's the name of the group exactly, Brad? So I don't get it wrong.
Official DIY car audio, or official DIY lithium battery, and then it's car audio.
That totally sounds like a porn star name that would be on Instagram or something.
Yep. We had to change the name of the group because another group changed their name to similar to ours, and the misinformation and things coming out of that group, the drama, we had to separate ourselves some more.
Yeah, definitely. I noticed some of that myself. So, yeah, it's a long name, but a very cool group.
And there's tons of information in that group. If you go to the units section, I believe, there's places to buy cells and things like that, places to buy bars, how to do CMAX and Yinlong banks. The pin posts have links to videos like explaining the different voltages and cells and how you should charge and all that kind of stuff. So just the pin section alone is a great place to start. I've tried to keep it kind of slimmed down, but there's just a ton of information.
Yeah, and just to clarify that, I only know that's like an official Instagram porn star name because other people have told me.
Oh, okay.
I just want to be clear.
That's his story and he's sticking to it. Kind of like my Savard story. All righty. Before we finish up with Brad, I think he has one other little special thing to show us here. I wanted to give a quick shout out to the super chatters here who've been helping us out along the way. Brandon, Hannah, Brad at Legends of Car Audio, Bass Addict 321, Dennis Tuttle, Old School Car Audio, Craig down in Australia. Thank you, mate. Basshead Go Boom, John Olds, Cam Corkle 69, Rockville Sam. Then we had Joe, we had Ginava, and Daryl. And the third era just jumped in, as well as Charles Brown. You guys rock. Thanks so much for supporting us along the way here.
Yeah, you guys are the men.
They can't be the man because there's too many of them.
Too many.
So Brad, what was that thing in your hand there a minute ago that you were kind of showing off that you wouldn't really show us? What you got?
This is actually a new cell that I'm testing. The company is working with me to kind of develop a pack that they can sell here. And the goal is $200, a battery that'll support 2000 watts RMS. It would be 4 of these cells in a box. So basically, it's just a tiny little box, and this will be enough for your car all by itself. So there'll be 4 little cells like that, and the goal is like $200. So anybody could just buy a battery, simple, throw it in. It's tiny, small package, small footprint, and it'll work with any stock system, any stock alternator system, I should say.
That sounds exciting.
I get new cells all the time to test, so I can't bring them all out here.
Cool.
So before we log off and do the after talk, what do you got planned for your new system? What subs, what amps you running, man? We've seen the NVX. I know you got something new coming up though.
So I have the 10-inch NVXs walled with 2 NVX VAD 2700.1s. That's their new amplifiers. They're like a real small, like a Brazilian type design. They've actually been doing very well. So I have a big system that I'm going to start building here real soon. And it's taken me 10 years to get the subwoofers for this build. So it's not something that anybody else can really do. And I've never seen it before. And that's 6 15-inch Pioneer Premier 8000 SPL subwoofers. The super rare 15-inch godfather of SPL subwoofers.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a 15 in person. I've seen a 10 and a 12, but never a 15.
The 12s are quite common. I think I sent some pictures.
I was going to say, did you send?
Yeah.
I think you sent pictures of those. Let me pull it up real quick so people can see. Well, most people can see. If you're listening, you can't see. But that's why you have to join us live occasionally. If you can't do us all the time, that's okay. YouTube.com/12etalk. Usually Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. But this week, it's Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. And here are the beautiful Premier subwoofers. Looks like you got all different sizes. You got 10, 12s, and 15s, Brad.
Yep. So I have 6 good 15s there, and then I have one blown. The one that's flipped upside down in the back there, that one's a blown 15. They're 92 pounds a piece. They have a 3 3/8-inch coil. They're as tall as they are wide, which is 16 inches. They rate them as a 15-inch subwoofer, but they're actually a 16-inch subwoofer if you measure from side to side. They're 3,000 watts RMS a piece, 8,000 watts peak. And back when Pioneer did these subwoofers, that peak actually meant something. They will take 8,000 watt RMS burps.
When were these made about, Brad? Were these
2008 they were made, and I've asked a bunch of different people that actually knew the lady who built all of these subwoofers, because the 15s were actually all hand built in Japan, and it was one lady who built all of these subwoofers. But the rumor is there was right around 50 of the Premier subwoofers, the Premier 15s built. The 12s were mass produced and built on a line, but the 15s were all hand built by one person.
She got to like 49 and she's like, man, if I can get through this number 50, I'm done.
Yep.
No more. A sign off. I'm throwing my hat up on the ringer and that's it. No, that's really cool though, man. That's super, super rare. So is there any hints of what you're going to be powering all this stuff with, or you want to hold that off, or you can give
I wanted to do Pioneer Premier amplifiers, the SPL Stage 4 amplifiers that you see there on the floor, but I'm just not able to find that many of them. I have 5 of them now, and I'm not finding enough because I need 4 per sub. That was the way these subs were intended to be run back in the day. They were intended to be dual 2 ohm and have 2 amps strapped per coil. And they made a 2000 RMS series amplifier, really did like 2500 RMS, but so you'd strap 2 2500s per coil for each subwoofer for SPL. But I can't find those amplifiers. So I think I'm going to be running a new Brazilian company. Not many people have heard of them, but they're Chorusus amplifiers. They're very similar to the Teramps amplifiers, but they have like the options that you'd find on the Premier series, and they offer them at like the price of the MD series.
Cool. Sounds like fun stuff coming up.
Yep, this build's going to be absolutely heavy with 6 of those 15s in there. It's going to be a steel cage, steel walled 4th order is what I plan on doing in a Tahoe.
Sweet. Well,
and then excess power yin-longs for batteries and CES alternators.
Sweet. Well, everybody who interested in following along with that, make sure you subscribe. Check out Brad at youtube.com/Mazda2284, or you can just go to the top at YouTube and do a search for Mazda2284. You can find his channel. Give him a subscribe. Check out some of his vids. He's got thousands, literally. I didn't check to see how many, but I know way back in the day you had like 5,000 or 6,000 videos or something. So you probably got like 10,000 now, something like that.
I think it's like 2,500, but I have a lot of videos.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So many I can't load them all.
And I think you have to put that together, Rob, because of probably how I set it up initially with the RSS feed. I don't remember. But anyway, you can find us on Google Play.
You can also type in Big D or Hi-Fi Vega or even throwback to Big D Wiz and find us.
Really?
Yes, sir.
Oh, well, you modified the search. That's good. So cool. Yeah, check us out because you can listen to us that way. If you can't watch my beautiful face as we're doing this, you can listen to Rob's beautiful voice as we do this. But no, seriously, thanks, Brad, for joining us tonight and for going over your system with us. Thanks at the last minute here, CT Sounds, for the super chat. Appreciate that, Coleman. Thank you so much. Thanks everybody who joins us every week. We appreciate all the feedback and everything. And Brad, for your time. And again, check him out on youtube.com/Mazda2284. We'll leave a link below also to his DIY lithium channel. And make sure you check out some of his vids and, give him some thumbs up and thank him for taking the time to do a lot of these tests and the things he's doing so that we can learn more information about lithium, because he's sharing his knowledge and the information that he's gained. And I just think it's super great. And again, thank you, Brad, for your time. Vega, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Derek.
All right, Brad. All right. Thank you, Rob. Thank you so much. It's been great. All right, everybody. We will catch you next week. 12 Volt Talk out.
We're out of here.
Bye-bye. Oh, see, he's the true OG.
Yeah, he is the OG. Brad, we didn't ask the point about you changing your name of your channel, because I know you brought it up, and I told you, I'm like, dude, you got to do it. And I wonder why Steve Mead never did it. Obviously he doesn't need to, but I bet you if I had some money in this hand and was willing to bet it, I bet you if he would have and would still change his channel, he would get a lot more subscribers, because people won't. And I do the same thing. If I go watch a channel and it says Bob345, I don't know what Bob345 is, but if it says Bob's, lithium batteries, then I know that Bob does lithium batteries, or, Bob's solar or whatever. And I just think if you give people an indication of something that you do, and it makes sense, then I think it helps.
Yep. I think I'm almost in the same ballpark as like Steve Mead, where like we've been on YouTube for so long, like a lot of our fans are really opposed to us changing our names.
I understand, and trust me, I went through it. I thought about changing mine when I got 20,000 subscribers. I thought about it again at 40. When I got to 80,000 is about when I changed mine. And I jumped from 80 to like 120 in about 4 or 5 months. So I don't know that it exactly correlates because I had a few videos that kind of did really well, but I would think about it, man. It's just something to chew on. I mean, none of us can have as cool of a channel name as Hi-Fi Vega, but
Right.
we can try our best.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really killing it
Yeah, and coming
with
up
the
with
name only.
a name for the channel is one of the hardest parts. Like, I just don't know what I want to do because it's like I really like EXO's idea where it's just something unique that stands out. But then again, people don't necessarily know what his videos are about from his name. They have
That's
no
right.
idea.
His is really deep when he talks about that, outside and the lowest female voice,
Yep.
that's pretty deep. But I mean, he does. He's an example of doing fine now. I know Doug at Soundman, he's changed his several times over the past few years, and at one time he went straight from like Soundman Cardio to Doug Bernard's, and then he changed it back to Soundman. And I don't know, he might be Soundman Cardio again. But I understand not wanting to pigeonhole yourself too into, like Brad's car audio. Because then what if you want to do home audio video, right? That's why I did audio labs, because I'm like, I can do audio. I could probably throw video in there too, because But anyway, it's just something to think about. But I understand your hesitancy to do it because trust me, I had one too.
Or like Brad's DIY, or because I mean everything in car audio is kind of DIY now. Like shops are getting phased out, but I'm not really sure what I want to do. If anyone in the comments has a good suggestion, I mean, feel free to hit me up with it. Like I saw DIY audio guy, I was like, hey, that could be me.
There you go. You better
Yeah.
grab it before somebody else does.
Yeah, he's already got it.
Already got it.
Yep.
Yeah. You could be Brad the Lithium God.
No, God. I've actually been messing around with lithium since I think 2014, 2015, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Was when one of my buddies first got a excess power lithium, and that pretty much from there I just was like, okay, I'm gonna figure out how this works. And because they were selling batteries for crazy amounts of money, and I was like, what makes them so expensive? Well, as lithium prices came down, I was like, man, we can build our own batteries, and we can build them like competitive, cheap, and safe. Safety's got to be the forefront of all of this, though. Like, I can't stress safety enough. Like, people have their kids, their wife in their car, their pets, their system, everything they've worked for in their audio is in that car. Is it really worth the risk of running a cell that could be dangerous? That's where I'm at, like, and why I totally recommend LTO or Life EPO 4. The Life EPO 4 is slightly more dangerous than the LTO, though. So I'm really a fan of LTO when it comes to chemistry because they are the number one in safety.
And I've had this wicked leg cramp. It's just sitting there hanging around for the last 20 minutes, and I'm just waiting for it to attack. I don't know if I can stop myself from jumping up. Just thought I'd let y'all know.
Rob, are you okay tonight?
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. You never had one of those?
Yes, I have.
I have been dealing for 20 minutes, and I actually managed to make it through the show.
Wow. And they're like, Derek, quit asking questions. I was wondering why he had that look on his face, and I kept going. The first time I watched Apollo 13, I had a wicked leg cramp, and that was the longest 15 minutes or 30 minutes of the end of the movie that I ever seen. I'm like, please just land. See, I feel you, man.
Yeah, I'll jump up in a movie theater. I don't care. I get a cramp in my leg in the middle of the night, I'll jump straight up, straight out of bed.
You need more potassium, man. Eat more bananas.
My favorite old school head unit. There's a couple of them. The old Premiers, and I actually really liked Panasonic back in the day. Like back when in the day of the dolphins on the screen with Pioneer, the palm trees on the Panasonic. I love those head units, and they just don't make them anymore.
Remember the Panasonic that had the flip out center channel?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
I
the kind
had
of
one.
stuff I want for videos, man. I think about, making a video that's unique and showing people the little flip out center channel. And
I had one. I wish I never sold it.
yeah, if anybody has one, hit me up. Let me borrow it so I can make a video and I'll give it back maybe eventually, possibly one day.
I still have a couple old Panasonics down in my basement. So
True to form, my favorite old school head unit is the Sony ES C90 or even the 8850 or the 7850, but the screens on them were absolutely atrocious.
yeah, they were.
Yeah.
I have a few old Sonys too. I'll remember the ones that the ribbons would break on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's always a fatal flaw with old school. If it's Alpine, the transport's going to mess up at some point. The Clarion, the buttons seem to mess up. The Sony, there's always something.
Pioneer, it's the Pico fuse.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the other ones I'd like to get my hands on is those early, was it late 80s Pioneers, that the KEX, was it 800? I can't remember the full model number, but it's the ones that first had the push buttons, didn't have a volume. They're real clean. I think like the cassette, the CD player version, they're all behind a window, and they just had a real clean look to their face. And I think they also had an EQ that matched. They all like looked the same. You couldn't tell which is the EQ, which is the cassette, and which is the CD unless you played.
Was that the JVC or the Sony?
No, it was Pioneer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yep. I can't remember the exact model number, but those early ones, I love to show some of those off too. I know Rob probably does this sometimes too, and Brad, I'm sure you do it as well. We get ideas of things we want to show, and I use it as excuses all the time to buy stuff. But I buy stuff and I just put it away, and I'm like, I don't have time to get to it all, so I just kind of get to what I can. But man, if I had like 6 months where this is all I did, I could show some pretty cool stuff. I got so much, and I've got
like my Pioneer premieres. I've actually, my last video I posted was like a year ago with 2 of them, and that video was like a year behind. And I had shot video when I had gotten 3, and when I got 4, and when I got 5, and then now I've got 7, and I haven't shot a video yet, but I announced it here today at least.
There you go. The KEX 990, the KEX 900, maybe. That's what a couple people are posting. That could be the Pioneer that I'm referring to.
They like the Panasonic tube head.
Yeah.
That was a nice one.
What do they call it? The bottle head?
Bottle head. Actually my very favorite ones are the Denons, and they're just so, they're classy looking to me, but there's really nothing to them. For people that really like the displays, they're not really into them.
So a quick side jag, it's not really side because you mentioned Denon. I talk a lot about my Alpine 7903, which was my second head unit that I ever bought that was a CD player. Because way back in the day, CD player, just to get a CD player head unit, minimum was $400. Unless you're going Spark-O-Matic. I think Spark-O-Matics were like $300. So I bought the Sony first, the Sony 7520, which didn't have power built in. It was like $400. I could have spent $100 more and got the Alpine, but I didn't. Big mistake. So after 1 year, the Sony just screwed up. The button stopped working. As soon as it goes out of warranty, it stops working. So I found a Alpine 7903 used on one of those marketplace books that you used to buy when you go to the convenience store. You find all kind of stuff. You'd find cars, you'd find 4-wheelers, 3-wheelers, everything. But this guy had an Alpine 7903. He was like 2 hours from me. I said, dude, you still got that? He said, yeah. So I go get it, and I used that head unit for literally 10 years throughout 3 different vehicles. During that time frame, one of the websites, I think it was Sound City back in the day, had the Denon DCT 950R, I think was the model number, which is the really nice looking head unit that had the volume knob and everything. It's a CD player. I bought it. I'm like, man, I'm top of the line now. Let me put this thing in my car. I had it in my car for a year, maybe 18 months. It crapped out, started giving me all kind of problems, popping, making noises. Pulled that thing out, put that Alpine in it. At that point, was already 8 years old. Solid. Chiclet Alpine for the win. Can't even talk. CT Sounds, you rock the house. Thank you so much for
He said he's waiting for the BMX podcast. We need to do one off.
Yeah, thanks, CT.
We didn't ask the Brad, did you ever BMX? I can't believe we forgot about that.
How do we forget
I
that?
mean, kind of, but not really.
What bike did you have?
GT.
A GT? Oh, you don't even remember the model?
No.
Come on.
Here's another side jag, real quick. I'm sorry for these.
It's after show, man. It gets crazy.
Okay.
Yep.
So one of my favorite shows on TV is Stranger Things. It comes on Netflix, right? So
I know where you're going. I want one.
A couple weeks ago, before the show started, I was at Target, and I walked down the aisle with all the toys and stuff because I'm a kid, right? And I saw the Mongoose Stranger Things retro bike. It looks like the old Moto Mag Mongoose. $219. They had it. Why didn't my sorry butt pick that thing up? It's before.
Dude, they're reselling them on eBay for
they are selling them for crazy money, dude. I could have tripled my money if I would have bought that thing.
Oh yeah.
I didn't. That was
dude, I want one. I'd ride one right now, even though it's still 20-inch. I would take a video and put it on my channel just so everyone could laugh at me.
Yeah, it's a cool looking bike too. But yeah, I was like, I just something told me I should have got it that night. But then I was like, well, I'll come back maybe. And then of course the show went on. July 4th is when they released season 3 of Stranger Things, and then bam, can't find them anywhere. They can't make enough. They're selling them for $1,500 on eBay.
Yeah, and they're only what, $219 at Target?
$219. Yep.
Dude, I'd pay that. I don't have no kids that ride bikes anymore, but yeah, I'd love to have it.
Go back. Anyway, sorry for that dumb side jag, but yeah, BMX. BMX is a question I can't believe we forgot. Brad's a few years younger than us, so doesn't quite fit into the early 80s BMX phase because he wasn't born yet. So
no, it's like in between BMX and skateboarding.
That's right.
And I wasn't good at either, so I just did car audio.
Well, that's fine.
Back in the day, you couldn't. If you were a BMX guy, you couldn't be friends with a skateboarder.
Nope.
That's just how it was.
Nope.
Skateboarders couldn't. Never the two should meet.
In my time, it was you all went to the skate park. Didn't matter if you had skates or blades or boards or bikes. You all went.
Yeah, and then I went. I got into rollerblading for a little while too, and I think you're just an enemy of the state at that point. Everybody hates you.
I need some pictures of that. I can see you doing like that. What was it, roller derby or something, where you go around and you knock people down?
No. But believe it or not, at one point in my life, I was kind of skinny. So rollerblading wasn't as funny as it would be now.
Yeah, I hear you there.
Yeah, going back to the early CD players thing, one of my cousins that I was talking about that first got me into systems, he had a tape deck cassette player, and he had a computer CD-ROM drive in his car. And I was so fascinated by the CD-ROM drive thing, and he would aux plug it into his tape deck.
I've got something shameful to admit. When CD players first started getting big in car, I was a guy like, no, man, I'm sticking to tapes. Like tapes don't skip. So I was a holdout, mainly because I already had like hundreds of dollars invested in tapes. And I just held out for way too long before I got a CD player.
My My newest Pioneer CD player isn't even a CD player. It's got USB, aux, and Bluetooth, and that's all I need.
Yeah, that's right. I bought one of those too after you showed it off because I wanted to play around with it too. And I finally got that other CarPlay, that dual CarPlay model in, but I haven't. It's another thing that's kind of stacked up. I hadn't had a chance to play with it yet.
I absolutely love my head unit for the price of it. That thing is just pure amazing.
Yeah, I saw you show the voltage output and everything, how clean it was, like 5 point something volts.
Yeah, I tweaked 5.4 volts out of it clean, and with the app control, you can do everything a 80 PRS can.
Which one did the Pioneer come up with at CES? The terrible one?
You set your phone up there and
oh yeah,
trash. Flip.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I like to have my phone right here.
Yeah.
That was funny. Yeah, the CD thing. So I was a little different than Rob because when I first saw CDs were coming out, I'm like, I got to have that. So that's why I saved up for like over a year to buy that first Sony, because back then, mowing lawns and everything I could do to get money to buy stuff. That, and then the other thing I was early on was DVD players. I bought a first generation Panasonic A100, which I think I still have out in my shop, but very first generation DVD, which it won't play a burn DVD now because the early lasers wouldn't read them. But I got in early on both of those, and I've still got a pretty extensive DVD collection, several hundred DVDs, but my Blu-ray collection is not quite so big, but I'm going to start building it up because I have something coming out in the future here that's going to be an update to my home theater, which I am not going to mention here because this is 12 volt talk. But you should be excited.
Yeah, I've jumped on some bad bandwagons. I stuck to the tapes when the Xbox, it was Xbox versus PlayStation 3. I was like, yeah, man, HDVD, that's the way. Nobody's going to use Blu-ray. So yeah, I purchased some HD DVDs and a little attachment and all that, and then maybe a year later, I bought a PS3.
Yeah, I've still got that drive that reads HD DVDs, so you can use on a computer. And when the HD DVDs were on blowout, you could get them for like $2 a piece. So I bought a bunch of HD DVDs, and you could use the drive and the software to extract it to your computer, and you can use the digital file, like if you use Plex, or if you have any kind of a media device that's hooked up to your TV, you can still play it back and get the full high definition 1080p and also the digital surround sound, DTS or Dolby Digital. So
yeah, Mark had a good suggestion. He said 120 volt talk coming soon.
There you go.
Got him.
We need to add one other thing to our plates, don't we, Rob?
Yeah.
Let's add one more thing. But I'm sure everybody that's in the car audio, they should be in either home audio or home theater, right,
or
Brad?
Audio in general.
Yeah.
I've got a custom built DD sub that I built all the Recone parts myself. It was originally a 10. I turned it into a 15, and I have it in a 32 hertz box for my living room on a 250 watt amp. And then I have a 350 watt powered 12 in here too. And the whole surround sound and Pioneer Elite receiver, it's
Sweet.
Nice. And then I have my shop system and the computer system and everything else. System for everything.
Well, we have to do it right? We can't buy out of the box speakers. We got to make our own stuff and make it cool.
But the only thing I have out of the box is my headphones, and trust me, I have thought about it.
Your microphone sounds really good. I mean, don't you think, Rob?
The speakers are actually really good too. They play low and high, and they're good. Cool. This is a cheap Razer headset, so.
Oh wow!
I bought these. I forget even the brand, but these little in-ear monitors, pretty nice, man. I dig them. Yeah, the only problem with building your own home theater stuff is whenever someone comes over to visit, or you're trying to tell your mother-in-law how to use it, or
Oh yeah.
it's always an issue.
That's
No,
why,
you got to press input 4.
no, that's why you get a Harmony remote, Rob.
That's even worse. The Harmony
No, it's
remote's worse.
not. You push one. I hit one button on mine to play.
Like your mother-in-law? Could
What?
your mother-in-law do it? That's the test, the mother-in-law test.
I don't want her over.
Yes.
So I don't want her to be able to figure out how to use it.
I did have a setup with five different car audio amplifiers and a power supply and capacitor and the crossover network and the whole works, but that was so complicated to use that
Do you have a video of that, Brad, on your channel?
Yeah.
We'll have to find that. We'll have to find it. If you can find it and send it to me, I'll link it in the description because I want to go back and check that out. It sounds really cool.
It's old profile amplifiers.
Old
school ones.
I'm sure I've seen that one. I think I remember it now that you say profile. I think I remember the vid.
Oh, they sounded so great with that alphasonic crossover network because everything was filtered so clean and clear.
Yeah.
Oh, that thing just screamed.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, cool, man. Wow, we went a little long tonight, but it had a good time going through all the questions and then doing the after show. And by the way, DIY car audio guy, it's like what time is it here? 9:48. It's like 2, almost 3 a.m. and he's still up. He's over in the UK. So, dude, get some sleep. For joining us though. But yeah, cool. Thanks everybody for tuning in and listening to us, listen to me blabble with my side jags and getting the mad lithium information from Brad and Vega.
My leg cramp is passed.
Oh,
good to go. Yeah.
But now I got a little homework to do here before I go to bed tonight, so I've got to go take care of some business. So,
all right. Did you see Rockville Sam in the chat?
Yeah. Actually, I've been chatting with Rockville Sam.
Yeah.
And
he said he needs more gain. He's the need more gain guy.
I was going to tell him to hit me up on Facebook because our chat kind of just ended on YouTube. And I actually had more I wanted to talk about with him. So,
yeah. Rockville Sam, holla at your boy, 12V Talk, gmail.com.
Yeah, we still want to have you guys on, or one of you, or all of you, or whatever. Yeah, we still want to talk to you. We still haven't lost the love. So, yeah, okay. We're all done?
Yeah, we're done.
Thanks for having me, guys. It's an honor.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, Brad.
Yeah, we appreciate it, Brad. Thanks, everybody, for joining us in the chat room. Y'all have a good Thursday night, Friday, tomorrow. Woohoo! We out of here.